we now have 1/3 of the painting almost done. It's to the point where now I can start blocking in some other colors. And with the foreground not painted yet, I can, while the sky and the trees are drying, I can work down in another part of the watercolor because it's not being disturbed in any way. So, as I come into the lower part, or the foreground of the painting, we now can lay some early colors, the lighter colors, that would give us some foreground type attention for the colors that I'd like to establish on that. Now, keep my mind on the sketch that I've already created, and that gives me some clues. I don't need to follow it totally, but it gives me some clues for the symbolisms and the colors, the values, the composition that are needed to complete this painting. Now, so, what colors can I use? Well, I'm going to go back to the color of the yellow ochres, the raw siennas, and just brush in some of that nice, fun, warm color. Even introducing a little bit of orange in there. And that will give us some variety of warm colors that will allow us to be able to set a stage of a little bit of excitement, of suggested form, and it creates a unification of color again. Earthy colors, if you will. Okay? Now, as I continue this process of establishing my undercolors, which in some cases become the primary color conclusions, but in this particular case, it probably will. I mentioned the term calligraphy earlier. What I'm doing with a brush right here is calligraphic manipulation of the brush. They're lineal strokes, dry brush strokes, that give attention to detailing. It's a finishing technique. And it implies entrapment of a particular image by virtue of just a suggested line, whether it's fading in, fading out, whatever. But it gives a nice feeling to the structure and the drawing of the painting itself. I mention that because texture is built up in the journey through the painting itself. It becomes the whiff wharf of the painting almost from the beginning. So that we're paying attention to the different elements of variety, shapes, colors, variety of line suggested. All of these things, the gradations that you see within the yellows themselves, the blues, it all becomes very important for the staging of it. Now, the values that I go from here are very important because if I overstate too much value in some areas, it may draw too much attention to itself. It might destroy the freshness of the painting. So you have to keep your mind on where you're headed for the conclusion of any painting like this. Now, for instance, there's a light side of this building right here. I'm just going to put in a little bit of the yellow, which will repeat what I have down below in the foreground. And that becomes a very important harmonizing effect, if you will, for the painting. And in doing this, I'm using the family of the same colors.